What is just a placebo effect but most people don't realize? How long it takes a coinster to process and count coins and return a receipt. It finishes quickly. So quickly that folks are skeptical of the accuracy. So a fake delay, with fake counting noises, was built in, giving folks more confidence in the results. That's amusing and I absolutely believe it. I'm not sure if it still does this. But at one time Google Docs intercepted the Ctrl+S shortcut and briefly changes the cursor to the thinking cursor, hourglass, beach ball, whatever your computer does. You don't need to save your Google Docs. They save every tiny change on the server. But people are used to doing it. If I don't see a saving animation, I'll assume the saving process didn't work. Beats headphones have weights inside them to make them heavier and give the illusion of quality and sturdiness. I install commercial audio video systems on bigger, more involved jobs like stadiums and arenas. We have AV consultants who don't work for my company but are a big link in the chain. As far as designing and etching the finished system, I don't know how many times I've been up in a 80 boom lift and they want the azimuth or down angle of a speaker adjusted by some ridiculously small amount. So you get back up there, bang a couple wrenches on the speaker, and don't actually move shit. How's that? Double quote. Oh yeah. That sounds better. Double quote. Works every goddamn time. As an IT person, giving a user a new monitor will make them swear their computer is faster. Edit. Wow, this blew up. This is by far my highest rated comment in existence. I haven't worked tech support for over a decade. So my comment comes from a time in the late 90s when users were using Compaq iPac mini towers and just couldn't get over the switch from CRT to LCD monitors. And holy cow. The switch from 4.3 to 16.9 was life changing. Sadly, this observation has nothing to do with refresh rate, as that's a modern consideration we didn't have the luxury of back in the old days. The exaggerated sounds of some vacuum cleaners, microwaves and cars to make them sound powerful. The loading screens on some apps that make it seem like they are doing something complex. As a developer, a lot of the loading screens I've built are just the app doing nothing, waiting for the server to do something. When my cat wants fresh food, but he still has some in his bowl, I pretend to put more in there. He usually falls for it. Does the bowl have high sides? Eating out of bowls instead of flat plates can sometimes cause issues with their whiskers touching the side and being overstimulated, since they're quite sensitive. That minty fresh, zesty clean feeling you get from toothpaste. It started as a marketing strategy and caught on. And now almost all toothpaste is mint because we associate the minty freshness with cleanliness. Ironically, I hate the taste of mint and pretended to brush my teeth for years as a child to avoid the taste of mint. The burning flavor. Invoker of vomit. Conducer of disgust. I still cannot abide the taste of mint. The original Febreze was unscented, but nobody believed it worked, so they added scent to it. Which makes me so mad. I despise every stinking fragrance on the market and just want things to not smell. If I want jeans to not smell like butt, I don't want to spray them with wet grass smell or whatever. Give me an odorless product. There aren't enough of them. When cake mixes first came out, you only had to add water to them. But too many housewives felt like that was cheating and wouldn't buy cake mixes. So the cake mix companies added another step. The eggs. It worked. Apparently the cracking and adding of the eggs to the batter was enough to make it feel more homemade and cake mixes became extremely popular. Now I'm mad. I have probably 3 cake mixes in my pantry right now that I keep using up all my eggs before getting to make. If it wasn't for those housewives I would have had cake by now. Unbelievable. The airplane that mommy feeds you. I don't think it's really an airplane. Lies. Your blanket covering your legs yourself from a serial killer at night. Well, it's worked so far. So joke's on you, buddy. As a former lifeguard, I can assure you that whatever cleanup you see lifeguards doing after someone vomits in the pool is almost certainly just show. There isn't really anything you can do. You just let the filter chlorine take care of it and pretend to clean to please the suburban moms. I remember some kids tea in the pool and they closed it down for the remainder of the day. Is it different for shit? Or same story? Just come back tomorrow and it'll be clean and do nothing. Dislikes on YT comments. I never understood that. The numbers don't even go down. You're not acting like an insane person because you ate sugar. Yep. Even for kids. They aren't acting wild because they ate sugar. They're acting wild because A. You told them that's what happens when they eat sugar. B. Most of the time they have an opportunity to eat a bunch of sugar while doing something fun and exciting. Birthday party. Trick or treating. Etc. Close bracket. Edit. Looks like placebo effects work on observers too. Detoxifying nonsense juices. Your body's liver and kidneys are enough to detoxify your blood. You don't need avocado smoothie with calcium inside it. And water is all you need. Except sometimes salt electrolytes to retain that water. As I've recently learned. Whenever I go to look in the back for an item that is clearly sold out. I had an employee offer to go look in the back and she brought 3 pairs of the pants I was looking for. It was the strangest thing. Do commission creative stuff. If I deliver same or next day. People don't think I spent enough time on it. If I wait 3 days to deliver. People are happy because they assume I worked on their project non-stop even though I was done a day or 2 prior. People don't just do this with creative stuff if it makes you feel better. We did the same thing when I did tax returns. A return might be done 15 minutes after the person left the office. But we'd wait 1-2 days before calling them to let them know it was ready. People need to feel like a little more time was spent on something to justify the price. I think it's because they don't think of it as paying for a person's experience, education, artistic talent. They think of it as just paying for a person's time. Turkey doesn't have enough tryptophan to make you sleepy. You're most likely sleepy cause you ate too much and your body is in rest and digest mode. Edit to add. It's a placebo when you eat a meal that includes turkey and say you're tired but eat a meal of the same calories and conditions with chicken instead and you don't feel tired. It's conditioned into American culture because of overeating at American Thanksgiving. When I was a waitress 100 years ago, my customers asked me all the time to turn the heat up down because they were too hot cold. I'd be like, oh yeah. Definitely. Let me go take care of that for you. Then I would go stand in the back, drink some water and then head back to the table and tell them I'd adjusted the temperature. It worked every single time. Edit. Guys. I obviously didn't waitress 100 years ago. I was exaggerating because I'm old. Jesus. MLMs. People feel successful when in fact they're losing money. This is also why you can't pity buy from someone. I know so many people who say they're anti-MLM but then just buy a single item or 2 when a friend starts to sell. That's worse than outright saying no because now you've given them that successful feeling and encouraged them to keep going longer and losing more money. My dog's medicine coming out of his treat tin instead of medicine packaging. Makes a seconds ago disgusting medicine taste mysteriously treat-like. I just tell him to his face that it's a treat when it is clearly a pill covered in peanut butter. That free shipping is a better deal. It generally means they've added the cost into the product instead. But you feel like you've gotten a better deal. This is 100% true. I used to sell furniture at a no gimmicks kind of place. Where they were open about all cost. Including delivery. I would do the math for people. Show them how we were still saving them tons of money even with delivery. But some people would still walk out and go pay literally hundreds of dollars more for free delivery from Ashley's. Who else mashed the down and buttons on the DS or Game Boy when they were trying to catch a new Pokemon? I used to roll my thumb over the D-pad to match the tilt of the Pokeball. I remember that people used to say that saying gotcha. Into the mic doubles your chances of catching the Pokemon. Not sure if it's really placebo. But there is research done on how a car door should sound when you close it. A flat and boring pank sound would do just fine but a lot of people find that soft. Plush and yet firm shrumpf sound reassures them the door is closed. Someone please do a better job here describing car doors closing because mine sucks. My friend's husband is a sound engineer, IDK if that's the right word, for this exact thing. His entire job is making sure that the car stuff sounds right. Double quote. Loading spinners on web pages. I once had a user complain to me a web app was too slow, and it was pretty fast. So I tested him by making the animation spinner spin much faster. He went to my boss to praise me how much faster the web app was. Spin. JS is what I was using. Not even a spinner, but we added a message after loading that said nearly there when it got to the next step. And we got significantly fewer slow loading complaints. Dear Xbox users. Spamming A does not speed up loading screens. You may not like it, but that's the truth. I used to think that tapping the Apple logo on my iPod Touch while it was booting up would make it boot up faster. To be fair, I was 6. Edit. It wasn't mine, it was my dad's, but he let me use it sometimes, so young me thought that it was mine. Drinking Canada Dry ginger ale helps with an upset tummy. They were sued because their ginger ale has no ginger in it. And that was the only stuff that helped when I had the stomach flu as a kid. I got the stomach flu a lot too. The idea that drinking orange juice shortly before going to bed will keep you from sleeping because of the vitamin C. The same people who swear that it works like coffee on the meat or tomatoes for dinner all summer long and never complain about sleeping issues. Even though tomatoes contain more vitamin C than a glass of OJ. Homeopathy. My mum is a homeopath and I don't subscribe to it at all. Please save your judgments. I'm not here to discuss that, but I've seen her help many people with minor to moderate afflictions. While the medicine definitely doesn't work, the patients believe it does. In this, along with the fact that sitting down for an hour with someone who listens to all of your problems and ailments in detail, and takes much more interest in their life than a normal GP would, leads to them having belief that they'll get better. My belief is that the psychological help they receive often helps with problems, especially ones that are exacerbated by stress. Also, I'll note that any homeopath who isn't a shitty person does not try to treat mental illness or life-threatening conditions that require real medical care, and will tell the patient this. Your permanent record. Colleges care more about what you say on Twitter and Facebook than what you said to Dakota in 3rd grade. The only time your permanent record means something is if you transfer within the district. And the reason colleges care about that is because it's much easier for the average person to find out what you said on Twitter than it is for them to find out stuff on your school record. Milky or opaque whites moisturizing body wash. It's the same as the clear ones. It's not more moisturizing. It just has white pigments in it. But because it's not clear, people associate it with lotion and think it's better for the skin. Edit. I'm not saying moisturizing body wash doesn't work. But you shouldn't assume something is more moisturizing just because it's white. A friend of mine who works at a big cosmetics company said the only difference in the formula of their normal and cream cleansers is white pigment, instead of the color check for gentle cleansing agents and ingredients like panthenol or oils. A scarecrow in the garden. They do work briefly, but birds figure out it's not a threat pretty fast. People try to remedy this by changing the location, position of the limbs and clothes it wears to keep it fresh. Vicks Vapor Rub doesn't actually do anything for your sinuses. It's a placebo effect. It does, however, help reduce migraine pain and to reduce swelling. That's actually what it was originally marketed for migraines. If your sinuses are inflamed, it would reduce the inflammation though, which would in turn create more room for stuff to move around in your sinuses and potentially make it easier to breathe. That's how it works for migraines, reducing inflammation, and how similar muscle balms with camphor work. Close bracket. It's not exactly a placebo, but being cold and catching cold are unconnected. It just so happens that you tend to catch a cold when the cold weather causes you to touch your face. Many researchers believe that exposure to cold weather can adversely affect a person's immune response, making it harder for the body to fight off infections. Reasons for this may include Reduced vitamin D levels. During the winter months, many people get less vitamin D due to reduced sun exposure. A lot of these psychology tricks and tips you'll see online. Just in general, a lot of them have no scientific proof. But they work because everyone thinks they do. This is how I actually live my life. I just tell myself things like these and placebo myself into changing my mindset or mood. YLSHLD, try it works. Homeopathy, the entire thing is just placebo. Some mixtures don't even have a single atom of the original substance. It's essentially 100% sugar water. They put weights or make the casing heavy on SSDs, as if they didn't then they'd be super light and feel very lacking in quality. Painting the walls blue in Mexican Indian restaurant bathrooms as it gives a calming influence and keeping thoughts away from your burning beehole. Car door sounds. I'm not entirely sure whether it's fully a placebo effect. But believe it or not, they're designed to make a noise to reassure you that it's closed. Seeing as they could quite easily be silent if made differently. Okay. But when the door closes incompletely, the sound is different. And I consider that to be incredibly useful. Coming back to a car with a dead battery because the dome light was on and you didn't notice can be dangerous if you don't own a standalone charger and you work until 10 PM in a terrible neighborhood. Hypothetically, of course. Alert of the cold prevention medications, like Coldfix or something similar. A test was done on some of them and they were often found to be not much more than a sugar pill. Also, those vitamin gummy bears. We studied them in school and they are often not much different than regular gummy bears. There are often not as much vitamins in them as they say. Most of the ones that say they are good for hair and nails. People say they work, but that's because it's the gelatin that's good for your hair and nails. Period synchronization. Every woman I've ever met swears it's a thing. But the data show it is not. It's just that different people have slightly different cycles. So they go in and out of sync with each other constantly over time. Kind of like multiple cars' blinkers when stopped at a light. Your perception of bad luck. The human brain is predisposed to remember bad experiences more vividly than the good ones. Thus, for an example, you may say your luck is always awful at tolls, when in reality you only get stuck in traffic 20% minus 50% of the time. Astrology. No, Becky. Giant balls of plasma light years away that make funny shapes in the sky on the day of your birthday isn't an excuse for your horrible personality. And they're all basic human traits. When I trained tech support, our agents would always get pushback from customers when we asked them to power cycle their phone, which 9 times out of 10 would fix their issue. So, I had them tell the customer to read them some numbers off the back of the battery when they were still removable. That we absolutely did not need. Then we told them we refreshed a few systems, and they put their battery back in and it's all fixed. Alternatively, when batteries couldn't be removed, we told them that if the phone was powered on while we did the update, it could ruin their SIM card. So they'd make sure to power off their phone. I'd do nothing. They'd turn it back on and it worked great. But if I had told them to power cycle their phones, no way. Some people such as myself may realize this one and use it their advantage. But energy drinks have quite low numbers in caffeine. Yes, I know they are high for what you need. However, I think if an energy drink were made with very little caffeine, people would still drink it and feel energized just from the thought that it will make them feel energized. The roller coaster clicking noise on the lift hill isn't necessary anymore. It used to be needed to prevent trains from rolling back if the chain snaps. But now technology has advanced and it could be silent. But it's perfect preparation for the ride. When my younger brother was a kid, the doctor told him that sitting on a grocery bag will keep him from getting sick in the car. The real trick here, of course, is that if he does get sick, he has a bag to throw up into. He's in his 20s now and he still doesn't believe me that it's just a trick. Because it worked. When I repair smartphone or computer, and if something takes me 10 minutes or less, I usually stall because customer don't want to pay the agree amount and want to haggle. Because I did it too fast. So I'll let them wait 25-30 minutes. And they will pay happily. I don't know if this is a common known thing, but there is thing called sham surgery, which is basically a fake surgery. They cut open a part of your body only to stitch it back up and do nothing at all. Most patients have reported improved results. So in other words, you trick your own brain into believing that you're no longer in pain. I remember a riddle my professor told us a few months ago. A place had been getting complaints that the elevators took too long while they waited in the lobby and that they should speed them up. So as a problem solver, how would you fix that? Add more elevators? Increase the speed of the elevators? Neither. The solution to the problem was by adding mirrors in the lobbies. The mirrors distracted the customers of their awareness of how much time was being passed, thus creating a sense of faster wait times.